is Offbeat, podcast that helps you to transform your career aspirations into reality. With your host, Adnan Sohail.
Hey everyone, thank you very much for coming back on Offbeat show. We are going to talk about the workplace culture today. As we know that toxic work culture that costs the organization in terms of money. People are not performing well and they are even having the health issue if the workplace culture is not healthy or positive. There are a lot of researchers to back this saying. Most recent one from Society of Human Resource Management America. They say that yearly a poor workplace culture costs $223 billion. Today I'm sitting here with Hanane Benkhallouk. She's the coach, she's the chief executive director of her own company, which is Sustained Leadership Consultancy. She's the author, advisor, she is a public speaker, and she is a coach and mentor. She's an award-winning speaker, and just to give you a few of the here, she recently won Game Changer by Middle East Institute of Excellence. She's also the winner of Women in Leadership Award by Alim Excellence, and one very much important is Safira Positive Image Award from the government of Morocco. So a lot of things, and I'm sure that list is not ending here. There are a lot more to tell, but let's go quickly to the topic and welcome our guest on the show. Welcome, Hanane. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for having me. Happy to spread knowledge through your channel.
We will certainly talk throughout the video that what are the consequences of not having a positive culture, or what are the outcomes of a negative culture. But can you tell us quickly that what is the return of investment by creating a positive culture in any organization?
Let's define what culture is. Because a lot of people think it's just one of those sophisticated management words that consultants work on and define and put in reports and on the walls and all of that. Culture is simply, without using any sophisticated business jargon, it's just the way things are done down here,
right?
At the workplace,
right.
How people behave. What is their belief system? How do they do things? How do they behave with each other, with customers? How do they live those values that are put on that wall? And every time I hear about work culture, one quote comes to mind by management guru Peter Drucker. He said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And I think it eats strategy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, especially today, because you can have the best strategy. Laid out, the best vision, the best product and service,
right.
But it's the culture that determines how you're going to succeed.
Before jumping to any solution, let's talk about the problem. And problem is obvious thing, that's the negative culture. Can you define what are the general reasons why a company or a workplace is having negative cultures? What are the reasons behind it?
Well, negative culture is where people don't feel happy at work, again, in simple words. And that could come from different reasons. If there is no clear communication about their roles, if there is no appreciation when they do something right, if they feel overworked, they reach burnout, if they feel that there's always demands, there's micromanagement, they don't feel trusted, their managers are always, watching the nitty-gritty, they're timing them in and out, and they don't feel trusted. So there's no collaboration among the team members. That creates negative culture where people don't feel really happy to wake up every day and go to their workplace.
I totally agree with you. And now the problem is there, and there should be some ideal situation that where we have to reach. What is the goal? What is the ideal culture which is performing really well, where the organizations should focus?
When people are clear on where the company is going,
right.
But not only that, when they also know how they are contributing to their vision in their role, no matter how small it is. And an example always comes to mind that I read somewhere about the first mission to the moon in 1969 at the time of John Kennedy. And there's a story that's told, I don't know how true it is, but I read it somewhere. It says that when John Kennedy was visiting premises of NASA, he found this janitor, and he asked him, "What do you do here?" And this employee said, "I'm helping take the first man on the moon."
Right.
So, and why I bring this example, so regardless of how small is the job, you think, this employee, this individual felt that he was contributing to that higher mission. Right. He didn't say, "I'm just cleaning the floor." Exactly. Because by cleaning the floor, he's also helping to keep the environment clean, which helps the astronauts, achieve their mission. So that example really says it all. How everybody feels that they contribute to that mission and vision of the company.
I will just add one more example, which I recently came, same exactly as you're talking about this NASA example. Someone who is offering health-related training program, let's say for the first aid program. Someone asked, like, what do you do? And they said that one employee said that we do first aid training program. And then they asked the other one, and he said that we are saving the society, we are helping the community so that there will be no accident, and in case of any emergency, people can save life of each other. So here is a clear difference.
Absolutely, there's a clear difference. And that's what makes a difference for somebody going to work or really feeling that they are passionate about what they do. True. So yeah, that makes a difference. And that's the key ingredient to creating a positive culture.
A company, whether that's the smaller one, where absolutely there is no formal culture word or vision and values and all those things, or a multinational or a corporate where everything is as its place, but still people feel that they are bullied and they are not getting enough positive things from them. What they can do today to improve and transform their culture to positive?
Well, it all starts from the leadership. It starts with clarity again on vision and engaging everyone so that they know how they are contributing, having clear roles and roles and responsibilities, and also it's about trust. It's really having that trust as a base, and trust comes. It's not earned. Trust is given, is granted. So a good leader who wants to spread positive culture gives people trust, empowers them, delegates responsibilities to them, and show them that I trust you. True. And then if you fail, I will support you to overcome that failure, rather than prove yourself to me, then I trust you. So just a quick shift in how that trust is communicated. And also when we talk about communication, not communicating by sending memos or bringing everybody in town hall and having few leaders speaking about reading all those speeches and saying, this is where we're going. That's not communication. It's to communicate, to connect with people on a personal level. Show them that you care about who they are as individuals, not just their role and what they do at the organization. It's creating those safe spaces so people can open up. These are all tips that would help really make people feel valued. And at the end of the day, we are emotional creatures. True. We want to feel valued. We want to feel appreciated. We want to feel that we are contributing to something bigger than ourselves. And successful leaders are the ones who can really communicate their vision in a congruent way, but also they show, because people hear what you say, but they observe what you do. So you need to walk the talk as well.
Maya Angelou's one quote is that people will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely. So it's really about empathy as well. True. Empathize with people, make them feel valued, make them see that you care about how they feel, and they'll give it back to you. As Sir Richard Branson, the Virgin guy, said, make your people happy and they will make your customers happy. True. So whatever you give will be given to your customers. And at the end of the day, it's your employees who represent your brand. True. So whatever you give them, it will be given to your customers.
I hope you're enjoying the episode. Just send us in the comments, what are your thoughts about having a positive culture at workplace, and what kind of strategies your company is implementing to transform a negative culture or a culture of bully, or where people are feeling unsafe at workplace, to make them positive, safe, energetic, and more loyal towards the organization. We'll be happy to listen to your comments. You just mentioned now that it is going to come from the leadership, that how they are going to transform the culture. But I believe that this is going to be a two-way traffic. Yes. So what is the role of employees, how they can contribute to create a positive culture?
First of all, they need to be really passionate about their job. So they come and feel that they're not there just to get a salary at the end of the month, so that they are here to contribute to something bigger. They need to be willing to be collaborative, because we, as I always say, none of us is smarter than all of us. So really being open to collaborate. And again, the same way, building trust means being open to your team members. When you see something wrong, don't blame. When you give feedback, own it. Say, I have noticed. Bring facts rather than blaming people. Right. Focus on the collective results. and make sure that we are all part of one vision. Because what happens is a lot of employees feel, this is my role, it's my responsibility. Once it's done, they don't care about supporting other people. It's really about having that team spirit, knowing that together we are aiming towards that one common goal, and that it's about really giving to the others and supporting everyone towards that common goal, rather than being really limited to what is written on my job description. It's being open, it's being personal, it's connecting. Instead of sending, for example, instead of sending emails and all these, one thing that really annoys me, all these long threads email, CC, and the whole world, and they keep going back and forth. Sometimes just get up from your seat, walk 2 minutes, talk to the person, sort it out, and come back. Because sometimes when you don't have the tone of voice, a lot of misunderstandings happens in the email.
Absolutely.
So these are quick wins that if there is a conflict, also taking conflict as something positive. Conflict is not always something bad, because when we conflict means we have different views and different perspective. So let's use it and don't diffuse it, as we always say. How can we really be open with each other to conflict over ideas so that together we come to a common ground? Well, that only happens if we believe that we are working towards a common goal. So keeping that collective in mind, and also be willing to express your different opinion. Don't take conflict as negative, and sometimes just connect on a personal level rather than keep it always in writing.
When we are now talking about the culture, that it is bad or negative or uncomfortable, there is another term used, toxic culture. To what stage culture has to reach, or what should be the situation where we can say that now the culture is toxic?
I think it's happening in so many organizations, even big ones. Toxicity at the workplace starts when people really feel always dragging themselves to go to work. They're afraid every day, am I going to be fired today? So they go to work not knowing if they have job security. They can't trust anyone because there's so much gossip going on. So they just go to work and drag the day and drag themselves and then come back. So when you can't communicate with anyone, when it really takes a toll on them to just sit at that desk, and so it becomes really toxic when nobody can communicate, when nobody trusts each other, when everybody's blaming everybody, and everybody's working in silos. So that's the ultimate form of negativity, which becomes toxic and starts affecting the health of employees. And we've seen that, a lot of burnouts, people who quit, stress. That's why a lot of focus now is on wellness and well-being, and how to overcome stress, because sometimes that comes not just from the overload of work, it comes mainly from that negativity in the workplace, where people are talking behind each other. And now, actually before, we used to worry only about what we call the corridors talk. Now with social media, there's even more to it. So it just adds to that. So it's very, very important to make sure that we don't reach that level at any work environment. I hope that there's attention to avoid that work toxicity. It's very unhealthy.
I'm sure that there are a lot of solutions, as you are mentioning, and I hope so people who are watching all this program, they will learn and they will try to implement it, and they will see. And do send us your feedback, that how you feel after implementing these solutions. One thing is this, a lot of people or companies think that when an employee is not fitting into the situation, creating trouble or becoming the reason of that toxic environment, let's just fire them. Is this a correct solution, or there is some other way also?
Firing happens sometimes. I mean, it's not always avoidable. However, it's not like the quick fix solution, because it's firing people is costly to the company. It creates disengagement when employees see their colleagues being fired. So that really affects the culture on its own. So yes, although we know that sometimes having to let people go is part of life, but I believe that there is so much that can be done first to find out what is the reason behind that. And again, just by creating those safe spaces, listening. You see, we don't always listen to what people are saying. So really creating a continuous feedback culture, for example. Rather than focusing on those yearly or half-yearly mechanical process-driven performance review, which is fine, it has to be done. Instead, that keeping that going because it's part of the HR processes to review employees, but not wait until then.
Right.
Because sometimes build-up happens when something wrong or an incident happens and we don't tackle it right there.
Right.
You can't wait 6 months and then come and tell me, well, Hanane, 6 months ago, I noticed that you haven't really done your job well. I mean, it will be very hard for me to trace it back and I will feel attacked. But if something happens and you grab me at their lunch break and say, well, Hanane, listen, I have noticed that lately you've been sending reports with a lot of mistakes. Are you overloaded or you're not focused? You have a personal problem? Because that's really causing us issues with the clients. And I don't think you want us to really get to a different level where things cannot be controlled. So how about you tell me what's going on and how I can help? How can I help you so that you avoid doing that? Because this is not good for you, not good for the company. So I am already, you're telling me what I did wrong. I'm not saying that we have to be lovey-dovey and positive all the time. This is business. And if somebody is doing something wrong, we have to tell them. But we shouldn't wait until it's 3 months. The sooner to the incident, the easier to trace it, the easier to have facts about that, and also showing that you're telling somebody that what they didn't do well, showing them the impact of the situation on what was the outcome of that on business, but also showing them that you're not telling them that to blame them. Instead of saying you have done, say I have felt, I have observed, I have seen, and reinforce it with facts, and then say how can we together create that collaborative, showing that you care, rather than saying, okay, I want you to stop doing that, no more mistakes, I can't see that anymore, this is not good, or else. Okay, you could choose that way of giving feedback, or you can still say, okay, this is not good, it cannot happen again. It can happen again. So let me know how I can help you or support you. Do you need training? Do you need more time? Do you feel overloaded? Do you need support? How can we together? So engaging them in that decision to find that solution on themselves, rather than always telling them. That makes them feel that they are engaged, make them feel that they belong, make them feel appreciated, and could also create an opportunity for new ideas of doing things.
This should be the job of a line manager to address the issues, or maybe the HR, they can address issues. But at what point the senior leadership like CFO or CEO of the company, they should also get involved into the HR issues or to make things better?
Well, senior leadership is the ones that set the tone. They're the one who have to show that clarity. Because another quote that I really believe in, I always mention, is I think it was by Jim Collins, the writer of Built to Last and Good to Great. He said that the success of every strategy is 1% vision and 99% alignment. So if the CEO just throws the vision, that's only 1%, and then doesn't care about how everybody's aligned from top to, just like the NASA guy who said, I am contributing to taking the first man to the moon. So it's the job of the senior leadership to make sure that everything is cascaded down and communicated so that everybody in their respective role and respective capacity understand what they need to do to contribute to that vision. So CEO sets the tone. CEO needs to make sure that everything's cascaded down. They need to walk the talk. They need to be open to communicate with everyone from different levels, not just sit in the corner office. So they have to have those open doors or no doors, and make sure that they engage with different employees at different levels to make sure that things are going fine.
You have worked with a lot of companies across the region. You work with smaller and to bigger and everyone. How serious are companies about the workplace culture? If I'm not asking any kind of stats, but really like this is a talk of the town across all the organization, just a very limited, if you can just tell us something.
Today, it's almost like the trend. It's the emerging trend. Everybody's talking about it because studies are showing the importance. They're showing with numbers. There are a lot of studies by the Big Four about the level of disengagement of employees and how that affects the bottom line. So it's definitely serious because it's showing the impact on the bottom line, on the business results. How serious? Yes, everybody feels that they are doing some kind of efforts to create positive culture, but again, it's hit and miss. So it's a continuous work in progress. Sometimes business leaders get caught up because they have to report to the board, and they get really focused on short fixes and quick fixes and short-term solutions. So it gets lost in on the way. But I feel working with different companies right now, I think that's what creates job for us as consultants. I feel that there is a rising interest towards creating positive culture, especially today with the change, with Industry 4.0 and the constant changes that are happening. It's very, very important to create that culture that is transforming constantly, that is engaging everyone.
A lot of companies, they claim that employees are the assets. Is it the true story, or they feel that employees are overheads?
It depends. If you want your employees to be an overhead, then they would be an overhead. It's up to you to invest in them just like any other asset to make sure that they don't depreciate. So it is an asset, because at the end of the day, and I always use this line, we don't build businesses, we build people. And the people build businesses. It's the people who creates, the people who innovates, the people who communicate with your customers, whether internally or externally. So as the minute you see them as overheads, then you won't treat them then they will depreciate as well. So you will just think about the cost rather than seeing how by investing in them, they will give you a better return on investment. So it's a mindset shift that is needed by business leaders to look at their employees, to choose the right employees that will be assets, that will contribute to their growth for sure.
I'll ask you a couple of questions that's more where I want your opinion. And I'm sure that a lot of our viewers, they want to listen and they want to adopt those things in their personal life. What is your thought about the success? What is the secret of success if someone wants to succeed in their professional life, what they should do?
Well, I'm glad you asked me this question, because I developed my own recipe for success. It's not like I developed it, actually, it just grew with me. I realized it as I was going through my journey from being, finding my way up the ladder in the corporate world until I decided to work on my own and embrace the entrepreneurial journey. And I call them my 3 Ps to success. First P is passion. When your job is aligned to what you are passionate about in life, you will give it more than 100%. But passion is not enough. Passion is just the first trigger that shows you, this is what I love to do. This is what I'm at my best when I do it, you know. But then passion is not enough. I have identified what I wanted to do, but then I have to be using the second P, which is proactivity. Things won't come to you. You have to knock doors. You have to be out there and take initiative. And go for it. And then proactivity, yes, happens. You will knock doors. Then comes a 3P, because not every door you will knock will open. So persistence is my third P. You have to be persistent to achieve that passion. And so passion, proactivity, and persistence are what worked for me, what I really advise people that I coach or mentor to keep in mind. And everybody has their own roadmap with how to use those 3 Ps.
What do you like about your work? I know that you work with a lot of people as a coach, as a mentor, but what is the single piece which you say that I love because of this?
Seeing people becoming better at what they do or who they are. That's how I measure my success. When somebody sends me a message and says, because you worked with us, because you came to our company, because of your strategy and tips, I have become better, I'm happier now, I'm more relieved, I'm less stressed, that's priceless to me. That's my return on investment.
What do you think that is today's workplace real challenge? I know that finances could be one thing, but apart from the finance, what is the real challenge of organizations?
Staying relevant. Because today we see companies rise and companies, fall. Especially today with this technological revolution, the biggest challenge every company has is to remain relevant. We've seen the Nokias of the world, the Thomas Cook, and more. Before, studies showed that big companies could have up to 90 years of life as a life cycle. Today, to how much that it's reduced to less than 20. So it's really about making sure that you are relevant, that you are really looking at what changing behaviors of your customers and how what is the value add, rather than being stuck to the product or the service that you're giving. Really, how can you keep on satisfying those needs of your customers and being abreast of those changes that are happening? So I would say remaining relevant is a key challenge today.
Workplace, we are talking about the workforce and the younger generation, where we are having millennials and Gen Z now. how to effectively deal with those people. Because still I believe that the people who are on top positions, either they are Xers or they are baby boomers, or so there is a huge gap between the top tier leadership and as well as the bottom line. So there is a huge gap. So how to deal these millennials or younger generation at workforce?
Okay, well, it comes to what I just said about being aware of the changing behavior of your customers. Millennials are also your customers, whether external or internal.
Right.
And the main thing is that really knowing that, I'll give an example. When I was growing up as a Gen Xer, when I was growing up, we had 2 channels on TV, okay? And the TV would start at 6 p.m. and everything was imposed on us, what to watch, and then by 11 it was gone.
Right.
Today, these kids grew up with Netflix, for example. They customize what they want to watch. They grew up with iPads or phones. So why am I bringing this example is that they want everything their own way, personalized experiences. They grow up in a world where it's all about the experience. We don't talk about product, we don't talk about service. So they want what they get from the Netflix and the Starbucks and the Apple at the workplace. What is the experience, employee experience that you are creating for this talent for them to give you the best of who they are? Today, the roles are reversing. At my age, I would sit on the seat of the interviewee and not have to prove myself. The HR person would ask me, how would you add value to my company? Right. Today, millennials are asking employers, why should I work for you?
True.
So just thinking about that really sets a different tone, and it's a whole paradigm shift. Now, because we're moving towards knowledge workers, now that AI and automation is taking over, so we're talking about really, really like specialized skill. So these kids, millennials or Gen Z or whoever's going to come after, they are really reversing the roles. Right. They want to work for companies that fit and align to their values, that are purpose-driven. They want an experience. They want to work at their own leisure, like remotely, because they're used to that. Yeah. Even the way you motivate them is different. But at our age, it was get a job, you need to get a house, get a car. So those incentives, the financial, material incentives would work for us. For these generation, that doesn't work. You need intrinsic motivation. Means they need to feel valued, they need to feel appreciated, they need to feel engaged, they need to feel that they contribute. Right. So all of these different behaviors are very, very important for companies that want to attract and retain the best talent.
Right. As you're talking about the generation, millennials, we are talking about millennials, that they are having some demands and they are having some expectations from the workplace. There was a time people used to go to work and they don't care like how long they have to stay overtimes and working on weekends and all. But this generation, they expect a better work-life balance. How they can keep it? What is your tip on having a work-life balance?
You see, before I tell you about the tip, when I'm asked about this question, I always challenge this very expression. There is no work-life balance. There is life, and work is part of it. So it's about life balance. So you see, the minute you say work-life balance, as if work is one thing and life is one thing. But today we work 10 hours, 12 hours. We are on our mobile all the time. Yeah. It's not like we leave the job, we work in a factory like the days and you leave the job and that's work and then life. So work has become part of life. So it's really about looking at, and the minute you start thinking about work and life, it's already demotivating enough because you feel like I'm not living when I'm working. I have to stop working, then I start living. Yeah. So it starts with really changing that expression to life balance. I have work, I have personal life, I have hobbies, I have interests, and that's all in that wheel of life. And I just need to make sure that I give enough time. You see, it's a myth to say that we will have balance all the time. But it's really about being aware that if this week I gave so much to work, or this month I gave so much to work, next month let me do a little bit more on the personal side. It's just really keeping on looking at it as like a wheel. Yeah. And it has 4 dimensions. One is for the work, one is for family, one is for my personal time, my personal interests. And always looking at it, how can I really keep it going and rolling, and from time to time make sure that work is not always
Right.
taking over, but that I keep it balanced.
Interesting. A while ago, I came across another term that was work-life integration. Like you have to integrate it, regardless that if you are in the midnight or in the midday, when you have to finish your job, like get it done. And now another interesting term today I heard from you that there is no, these are not two different things.
Yes.
This is a life and work is the part of life.
Yeah, and that's
That's
why when
amazing.
when you're passionate about something,
Yeah.
then it's not like work and life. It's part of your life.
Okay.
That's what you do every day. So it's just about maintaining a life balance, including work. This is the advice that I give everyone.
Right. So I would like to listen from you for all the viewers who are growing up, who are the younger and who are going to start their career. Maybe now they are just a beginner.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, any piece of advice today you want to give to these people because you missed at that time when you were growing, and if someone has given you that piece of advice at that time, you could have been better today?
I would say don't get fixated on what you want to be, like on a role or a position, but rather on what change you want to make in life, what impact you want to have on people and the world or around you.
Right.
Because that will help you find out irrelevant of what position. Don't say I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pilot, or I want to be a businessman. It's really about what is it that you want to achieve, because things will change, positions will change, but if you follow that purpose, then the outcome will be that you will find a position that helps you do that. You want to improve people's life, you want to improve people's health, you want to create a greener world. You know, it's you want to create more opportunities for people to work. Then you'll become a businessman to create jobs. It's really about digging deeper on what matters to you. What is it that you want to change, especially today, because as a lot of researchers show, and one of them is by the World Economic Forum. It said that kids today, 65% of kids who are in primary school, which means who are below 9 years old, will have jobs that don't exist today.
Wow.
So if you have young kids, do not box them by saying, what do you want to become tomorrow?
Right.
Because that, if they keep that in mind and tomorrow that job doesn't exist, then they will feel like a failure. So really guide yourself and the younger generations toward really being attached to a purpose that they want to achieve.
Right.
Rather than a job. And no matter what the job is, you'll feel happy because you are really aligned to the value that you are adding by your presence in this life.
You're writing a book and it's soon going to be published. We will be happy to share a link with you guys once the book is out down in the description. But in the meantime, do you want to suggest or recommend any piece of reading, any article, any blog or any book to these people who are watching this program so that they can learn and they can improve the workplace culture?
First, I would advise you to check my blogs because I try to write a really practical tools that are derived from the day-to-day, from me being in so many workplaces, working with clients, different level or different industries and different sizes across the region. Some books that I really recommend, some of them I'm still reading. There's one book that's called An Everyone Culture.
Right.
An Everyone Culture, it really talks about how to build an inclusive culture, happy culture. It's really an amazing book.
Right.
There's another book that's called Teaming, and I love it because it talks about team as a verb, which means to build teams, it's an action.
Right.
It's teaming, it's wanting to be a team. Because a team could be imposed, you put people, a group of people, and call them a team. But just the connotation of teaming, it really talks about how we can have it as an action, because it is a verb, not a word. So these two books, there's an old book. It is old, but I feel it's still relevant, called Good to Great.
Right.
By Jim Collins. Yeah,
Right.
I think that for me, that's one of my favorite books of all times.
Thank you so much, Hanane. It was indeed a pleasure meeting you and talking to you, and I really appreciate all the knowledge which you share with our audience.
I think it's a duty, because people say knowledge is power. I believe that sharing knowledge is a superpower, and I always say I aspire to inspire before I expire. So thank you for giving me a chance to do just what I love doing. So, and I hope it's been helpful. I hope many of you would take some insights that could help you become better at what you do or who you are. And for me, that's my value proposition. Thank you.
You have got a great recipe of having a positive workplace culture where everyone has to play their role, whether they are the employee who are just going there to work, they are the leaders who are overall responsible for the thing. And keep on watching. There will be more interesting content coming up on the channel. Thank you very much for throughout watching this episode of today. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you like our content, please subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon for regular updates.